Following the 2022 season, Dan Lanning had replaced his coordinator in Kenny Dillingham, who called the ninth best offense in the nation. In an interesting and possibly controversial decision, Lanning looked to another young coach who had yet to be a coordinator by himself. Lanning found Will Stein of the UTSA Roadrunners and gave the young coach the keys to his star-studded offense. What Stein did next nearly led to the second ever Heisman Trophy winner for the Ducks. While the Ducks posted the ninth best offense in the nation behind Kenny Dillingham and Bo Nix, there was something special happening in the South that surprised the country. In their 11th season, the UTSA Roadrunners found themselves playing for their second conference championship in program history. This was the year following their inaugural championship. What made it so profound was that they were playing offenses at a high rate behind the arms and legs of fourth-year junior Frank Harris. In the 2022 campaign, Frank Harris had thrown for 32 touchdowns, over 4,000 yards, and a 70% completion percentage. What made that so special is that he also managed to carry the ball 128 times for 600 yards and 9 touchdowns. With those stats, he was just about one game below 5,000 total yards on the season. While Harris was putting on a show, it was clear that the offense was capped to his strength and built around his mobility. At UTSA, Stein built a system to cater to Harris. Harris was known to be a dual-threat quarterback coming out of high school. Stein incorporated the RPO to keep the defense off balance, as Harris could hand the ball off to his backs, keep the ball for himself, or throw the ball to a number of talented receivers. A quarterback who could also use his legs, Stein's offense was perfect for Bo Nix, one of the best decision makers in the year prior and a veteran quarterback in 5 seasons. Nix was able to quickly read the defense pre- and post-snap. In the CUSA Championship in 2022, UTSA ran an RPO on 2nd and 4 called by Will Stein. The play could be called something like this: flanker motion, sweep left, F bubble. If we run the tape back, you can see that the tight end and running back are lined up in a strong formation on the wide side of the field. Stein has his slot run a deep motion to bubble, or as some would call it, an orbit motion. This gives Harris the ability to read the in-man on the line and make a decision on his own. Harris can give the ball to his back, keep the ball for himself, or pass the ball out wide. Reading the in-man, Harris eyes the defender playing the box. While he doesn't crash down, he does take Harris's run lane away. Harris then takes the opportunity to throw to the uncovered receiver for a first down on the wide side of the field. In just 2 plays as offensive coordinator at Oregon, Stein called a similar play against Portland State. He utilizes the ability to motion multiple players pre-snap, as long as they're set for 1 second. And he runs the same exact play minus the deep motion across the field. If you take the same name of the opposite direction, flanker motion, sweep right, F bubble, you can then take away the motion and you have the same play, sweep right, F bubble. In both of these plays, Stein uses the speed of his receivers to get open in space behind the line of scrimmage. This puts a lot of pressure on the defender, who may or may not be as fast as Stein's employed quick receivers. He even ran these plays to the wide side of the field at Oregon and UTSA. Though it was not super productive on that play at Oregon, Johnson and Nix connected on more of these plays as the season went on, becoming more efficient. Another similarity between the offenses he ran at UTSA and Oregon was utilizing the legs of his star quarterbacks. Though he ran the ball with his quarterback less than Dillingham, Nix still finished the season with 234 yards and 6 touchdowns. The key difference between Dillingham and Stein is that Stein used Nix in key situations rather than as a threat at all times in the game. His focus was to make Bo a more efficient passer. To go up on the mean green, Stein called a quarterback draw on 2nd down and 11 yards from the end zone. In this instant, he made the play look like a pass, where the defense spread out and played coverage. One backer in the box did play the run, but was quickly picked up by the running back willing to block for his quarterback. Against Washington in the Pac-12 title game, Stein and the Ducks were stagnant to start the game. Nix and company were having a hard time moving the ball against the Huskies. Stein then called upon his star quarterback to carry the ball a bit more than he had in the regular season. On this play, you can see there are 2 running backs on the field, the dual threat Bucky Irving and the power back Jordan James. To start the play, Irving runs a jet motion. When the ball is snapped, Nix reads the in-man on the line. As the outside backer rushes up the field, Nix keeps the ball for a moderate gain. This was the beginning of the offense's wake-up in the football game. A few plays later, Stein implores Nix to keep the ball in an RPO. He rushed just outside of the end zone, where he brings us to our 3rd point of similarity in the offenses. Using a lot of 11 personnel at both Oregon and UTSA, Stein had a lot of faith in his tight ends to be athletes in space and maulers in the ground game. In the play before, you can see how Ferguson is used as a split end blocker to seal the edge for Nix. Now, note how 2 plays later, Stein disguises Ferguson in the blocking game once more, but this time he runs a delayed corner route for a touchdown to bring worry to the Huskies and get Oregon their first touchdown of the game. This wasn't a new concept by any means. Stein used his tight ends at UTSA in a similar fashion, both blocking and in the pass game. On this play, Stein lines Cardenas up just wide of a tight split. He had him run a choice route to read the holes in the zone coverage that North Texas had been running in the middle of the field. He's able to catch the ball and use his athleticism to make it to the end zone just before halftime. Earlier in the season, against Colorado, Stein slowed his offense down to make a pivotal substitution, something that he did quite often throughout the season. He brought in a second tight end. Typically used in more tight formations, Patrick Herbert was brought into the game, but he played out wide with Ferguson. Stein utilized his strong tight ends to create a shield for wide receiver Gary Bryant to power forward for a critical fourth down conversion. Stein, like many other coordinators in the modern college game, uses tempo to his advantage. As the offense, they can set the tone for how fast the game will be played. One unique thing about Stein's offense is his use of the tempo and pseudo tempo. In this instant, just after the first down, Stein keeps his 12 personnel on the field so that the defense cannot substitute. He plays tempo. In this small sample size, the offense runs 3 plays in 22 seconds. In other words, they run a play every 7 and 3/10 of a second.
Defense getting hats on hats, and it's springing these Oregon running backs.
Nix, quick game again to Bryant.
In the next clip, you can see that the play clock is still full. The offense has just rushed to the line, used a motion, and fake snaps the ball. This is Stein's use of pseudo or fake tempo. This allows both him and his quarterback the opportunity to read the defense pre-snap, as they will likely be showing their hand to account for the tempo that they think is coming. In the pre-snap check, Stein and Nix identify zone coverage across the board, minus Troy Franklin. They also note the backers showing pressure. Stein signals in a play to apply pressure to the safeties to take away either Herbert or Franklin. If they take away Herbert, Franklin is open, and if they take away Franklin, Herbert will be open. Nix identifies the safety in the middle of the field, crashing down to take away Herbert's route. Meanwhile, Franklin runs a curl route, which ices his man-on defender with no safety help. Once the play concludes, Nix and company then go on another tempo frenzy and march down the field. The play clock operator didn't even have a chance to start the play clock. We've talked about where the tight ends line up and their diversity in the Stein offense. Now, let's take a look at this beautiful play he calls, which highlights the use of his pre-snap motion. Still in hurry up, Stein calls for the tight end to motion across the formation. Nix is able to identify that the man who initially covered him doesn't move with him. In fact, no man does. This tells Nix that the defense is in zone coverage and Herbert's RPO route will be open in the flat with a man advantage to seal the sideline for a great gain. In this next play on the right, look at the similarities in the pre-snap alignment. If you notice, they are the exact same, with one key difference. The alignment of his tight end and wide receiver are switched. Instead of having Herbert in tight, he puts Franklin in and has him run nearly the same route. However, he takes away the pre-snap motion, so the defensive back's eyes gets lost in the trenches. This leaves Franklin open in the flat for a large gain, and he powers his way into the end zone for a touchdown. At UTSA, Stein employed a system to also use his running backs in the pass game. At Oregon, Bucky Irving, a sure-handed running back, feasted in this system. Quick and elusive, small and agile, Irving was able to sneak out of the backfield for checkdowns and wheel routes, or line up as a base receiver. He was one of the key reasons for Bo Nix's incredible completion percentage. With one of the most talented receiver rooms in the nation, Stein was able to employ a diverse skill set on the field. With receivers like Franklin and Bryant, Stein employed the Thunder approach. With the receiver and hybrid like Tez Johnson and Bucky Irving respectively, we saw lightning. Towards the end of the season, when Franklin was being double covered more and more often, Stein schemed Johnson open across the middle of the field, using his speed to his advantage. Stein's ability to build an offense around a mobile quarterback and coach them to identify the defense in every square inch of the field makes him a lethal mind in today's modern game. At the young age of 34, he'll likely be leading his own team someday. For now, he's set to return to Oregon with yet another veteran quarterback in Dylan Gabriel. The sky's the limit for the Oregon offense. We'll have to see just how far they can fly in 2024.